Candid Truth.
What is up, everybody? Thank you for joining us at Candid Truth. We're going to talk about the truth. We're going to get candid with it. A friend of mine, man, he reached out to me a while back and was just connecting a lot of dots with the Christian culture, the Christian studios, the Christian corporations that are out there, and proving that these companies, these quote-unquote Christian companies, are not as Christian as they appear to be. I'm talking Angel Studios. I'm talking Chick-Fil-A. I'm talking about a lot of stuff. And we just saw with quote-unquote Apostle David. He just got arrested for a $50 million trafficking organization going on. So there's so much stuff coming out right now about Christians being exposed for not being Christians. Satan is infiltrating the church. He's infiltrating the body of Christ. And it's amazing to see how the Christian world really doesn't use discernment. I'll admit, there are some of these things that are very convincing, and but it's so easy to really just dig. You know, my friend, he was like, look, I just looked up who is this person associated with, and I'm starting to see the hands join together, and there are some very concerning things. So check this out. Everybody knows Chick-Fil-A as this Christian corporation. When you look up, does Chick-Fil-A have Christian standards? The answer that shows up says yes. Chick-Fil-A and operates on Christian principles and morals, rooted in the belief of its founder, Truett Cathy. So this is the Cathy family, Cathy. And it says corporate purpose is to glorify God and have a positive influence, which is a clear indicator of its Christian foundation. So Chick-fil-A is trying to glorify God and have a positive influence. Closing on Sundays, that's a whole different topic right there. But look, a lot of Christians observe Sunday. They go to church on Sunday. And so the owner of this company said, look, I'm going to close on Sunday so that people can rest and go to church. It says right here, the company famously closes its restaurant on Sundays to allow employees to attend church and rest, a practice established by the founder, Truett Cathy. This is the owner, the founder, Truett Cathy. He passed away in 2021, I believe. And it says, our founder, Truett Cathy, made the decision to close on Sundays in 1946. He knew what it was like to work 7 days a week in restaurants, so he saw the importance of letting his employees set aside one day to rest and worship if they choose. That's a practice we still uphold today. So a lot of people look at Chick-fil-A and they're like, whoa, like, man, they're so honorable to keep Sunday. I think it's really ironic because if you're a Sabbath keeper and you say, oh, you know, I believe in keeping the Sabbath. I don't work. I go to church on Saturday. And people are like, oh, you legalist. Don't put me under the law of Sabbath and all this. But ironically, if you close on Sunday, people look at you like holy, like, oh, you are revered in some kind of way because you close on Sunday. The irony, it is very ironic. So I asked, is Dan Cathy a Christian? Because the founder that we just looked at, he passed away. The company was given to his son. And you see, it still says here, I said, is he a Christian? Yes. Dan Cathy is a Christian. He's a prominent figure in the Southern Baptist tradition. And his faith has influenced the company values of Chick-fil-A, including closing on Sundays and promoting a culture of care and respect for employees. Here's a breakdown of his Christian identity: deep religious beliefs, public affiliations. He's affiliated with Christian organizations, closed on Sunday. Influence on Chick-fil-A, the company's stated purpose to glorify God by being a faithful steward of all that is entrusted to us. So Dan Cathy, he is a self-professed open Christian. So I was looking, does the Cathy family own a production company? Yes. The Cathy family owns a production company called Trilith Studios. Trilith Studios in Fayetteville, Georgia. The former CEO of Chick-fil-A, Dan Cathy, co-owns and funds the studio through his family's investment firm, Rivers Rock LLC. So Dan Cathy is a co-owner of Trilith Studios, a movie-making company, a film production studio. So I would expect this to be kind of like Angel Studios or Pureflix, right? Like you're going to have all these Christian movies coming from this company that's owned by the CEO of Chick-Fil-A, former owner of Chick-Fil-A. Trilith Studios was originally founded in 2014 as a partnership with British studio Pinewood. The Cathy family bought out Pinewood's stake in 2019 and renamed it Trilith. That's interesting. So the studio's name was Pinewood, and they renamed it Trilith. Remember this, because Trilith is an interesting word. Film and TV productions. Okay, we're going to get into all that. But yes, the Chick-fil-A family owns Trilith Studios. Here is the website, their official website, Trilith Studios. They don't just own a studio, though. They actually have like a whole town and hotel and wellness center and restaurants and retail and all that. Look at this. Look at the movies that they've produced here. We're going to look at a whole list of them. These are the movies that Trilith Studios produced. The Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad. If you don't know what the Suicide Squad is, it's a rated R comic movie. I've never seen it, but it's full of foul language, full of murder, full of all kinds of evil things in the movie. And that's their banner at the top. The Suicide Squad. Like, they take pride in producing the Suicide Squad. Superman, there's going to be a lot of these that people are going to say, oh, there's nothing wrong with Superman or whatever. But Superman is an antichrist. He has all the characteristics of Christ. His father sent him to Earth to be the savior of Earth, and yet he shacks up with Lois, and he doesn't have the mission that Christ has to save people from their sins, right? And so what do you call somebody that looks a whole lot like Christ but doesn't have the same mission? That's Antichrist, right? He looks close to Christ, but he's not Christ, and he does sinful behaviors. A lot of these I've never even heard of. Ironheart, but notice it's Disney and Marvel and DC. These are all and Netflix. These are all the people that have worked with Trilith Studios. This, I don't know what Agatha is, but I see the one eye symbolism. It looks very witchy. I'm just assuming here. Guardians of the Galaxy, Werewolf by Night. What kind of movies are these for Christians to be producing? Haunted Mansion, Black Adam. Black Adam was definitely about putting Satan on the throne. But again, these are more kind of undertones, things that aren't right there in the open, maybe to some can't see that. But all of this, the majority of these movies are Disney, Marvel. And what's Disney and Marvel all about? Promoting the LGBTQ lifestyle, promoting witchcraft, promoting follow your heart, do what thou wilt. Zombieland. Like, this is insane. When I started seeing these, I was like, this is crazy. That this is owned by a Christian studio. Passenger. I'm not sure the rating of this movie, but I remember my wife talking about it, that there was, a sex scene in the movie. The Avengers, Infinity War. These movies are making Christ the villain. Thanos is Christ. He sits on a throne in a spaceship called the Sanctuary, and he's coming to Earth to snap his finger and separate the sheep from the goats, destroying half of humanity. So this is just a shocker right here. Notice their logo here. You see this like arch, this like infinity arch, Ouroboros thing, whatever that is. We're going to look into the name of this. This is actually their dwelling places. You can live at Trilith in apartments. And what is this? It says green space. And to me, this looks like a labyrinth. Is that a labyrinth? We'll look at what a labyrinth is. This is crazy. This is what a Christian is putting in their community. the art and the sculptures. Come on, guys. I don't want to seem like I'm like reaching or something, but this looks like a portal. It looks like a Stargate, one of the ancient Stargates that are out there. They have their own school. You know, if you've watched the Seven Mountain Mandate that we did with Minnow, you would see that right now Christians are trying to take over everything with a Seven Mountain Mandate. All these mega churches, they're trying to take over entertainment, public schools, government. And when you do that, when you take over everything, including government, when you're mixing religion and the government together, that's bad news. And that's what the Bible predicts is going to happen. What the Bible prophesies is going to happen is a one world religion under the guise of Christianity. It's going to look like peace and safety and unity and coexist and love and all these things, but it's going to be compromising the truth of God. It's going to be like, oh, your way is just a different way to God, but we can all agree. Like, we all believe in God, right? We just got different languages to God, as the Pope said before he died, right? That's what is coming. A future. It's not going to be the occult is one world religion. This is all propaganda. The Left Behind movies that said, oh, the Antichrist, he's this villainous guy and he's going to be killing Christians in the street. No, it's going to look so close to the truth that only the elect will not be deceived. Only those who stand on thus saith the Lord. But there will be many who say, didn't we prophesy in your name? Didn't we do many great wonders and works in your name? And he'll say, depart from me, I never knew you, you workers of iniquity or lawlessness. But they claim to be Christians. There's a parable of 10 virgins, right? Virgins represent God's people, the church. They all had oil in their lamps. They all fell asleep. And when they woke up, only half of them had enough oil or the Holy Spirit to make it to that wedding, the wedding of Christ. This is the day and age that we are living in right now. Look what Trilith says. This is their own personal Instagram page. And it says, people ask us all the time, why Trilith? Look, you see these archways going on. I didn't even know that picture was there till just now. Why Trilith? What is a Trilith? How do you pronounce that? We get asked all these questions and more on a daily basis. By definition, a trilith is a megalithic monument consisting of 3 large stones, 2 upright with a horizontal stone resting upon them, just like Stonehenge in the UK. For us, this provides a nod to our roots and serves as a metaphor for Trilith Studios, representing our 3 pillars of business: content, technology, and faculties. Okay, man, there's like way better ways to represent your 3 pillars of business than to use a pagan altar where ritual sacrifices happen. This is crazy. I'm going to show you. I cannot believe that they actually included the picture of Stonehenge right there. This really just cut out my work because I thought I was going to have to like prove to people that this is what it was. But I asked Google, define trilith. It says a trilith is a megalithic monument consisting of 3 large stones, just like we read about, the famous one being the term derived from Greek meaning 3 stones. Famous example is Stonehenge. Here's where it's talking about it. Now it says examples: Stonehenge, Baalbek. Look at that. Baal. The Trilithon at Baalek is another significant example featuring massive stones forming part of the temple of Jupiter, Baal's podium wall. This is insane. Why? If you are a Christian company, why would you make your logo that represents who you are a pagan Baal worship monument? I mean, what? Include a cross in there. Include something Christian or something that has nothing to do with paganism. You know what? When you look around at mega corporations, you're going to see a lot of similar symbolism in their corporate logos. Eyeballs, pyramids or triangles, stars, which are really pentagrams, and the sun. Always the sun. And you'll see a lot of those changes over the years. You'll see the logo will change. Remember, Walmart used to be a star. Let me just show you this real quick. Walmart logo change. I want to show you something. It used to be Walmart, Wall-Mart. Then they changed their hyphen to a star, which was already going in the right direction. Then they changed it to a 6-pointed sun symbol. The 6-pointed hexagram sun. Now look at this. BP. Do you guys remember that? BP logo used to be a green shield, and that green shield turned into a green sun. Now it's not like it's a flower and I'm just saying it's a sun. It is a sun. You can look at the official, they're right there. The sun-like shape right here. When you look at the official, the official BP website, they'll tell you openly that their logo turned into the sun. When I talk about eyeballs and pyramids and things like that. So you got Time Warner is a hypnotic eye. You got, speaking of hypnotic, you have CBS logo right here, which is an eyeball. How many logos have to be an eye, a triangle? I mean, just look at banks, gas companies, some of the ones that make the most money. Why? Because they are telling you who they serve. Now, if Satan comes along and says, hey, I'll make you rich and famous. All you got to do is bow down and worship me, and I'll make you a god on this earth. And someone takes that offer and they actually become successful. Do you think they're not going to give thanks to who made them successful? Any Christian who makes it successful, they always give God the glory, right? Chick-Fil-A, they're supposed to be giving God the glory because in their minds, and maybe God really did make them successful in the beginning, but something has happened along the way where now God doesn't get the glory. Baal gets the glory. The pagan altar of Baal. I just think that is crazy. So I said, is a trilith used in religious rituals? Yes, triliths were used in religious rituals, but their specific functions varied depending on the culture and locations. As stone structures built by ancient people, their exact purpose is often a matter of archaeological interpretation, but evidence suggests ritual use in many different places. Stonehenge. They talk about Stonehenge here. They talk about the Bronze Age, South Arabia, megalithic temples of Malta. That's interesting. Knights of Malta, Tonga, Egypt. So which of these nations were known for being Christian? Was it Egypt? Was it Tonga? Was it Malta? I don't know. Like, I'm still trying to figure out, why would you use a trilith as your logo for a Christian production company? What kind of rituals happen at Stonehenge? Rituals at Stonehenge are primarily centered on solstice celebrations. You know what solstice is, right? Sun worship. I think it's interesting that here's a man that owns a company that closes on Sunday, who goes on to own a production company who uses the logo for Stonehenge, which is all about solstice celebration, where the Druids and pagans gathered to honor the cycle of life, death, and rebirth by performing ceremonies at dawn, often involving chanting, drums, and prayers to the rising sun. Summer solstice. Very, very, very interesting. There's all a connection happening here. I asked Google, when did Sunday become part of Christian tradition? And it gave the proper answer. It said Constantine's decree in 321 AD. Emperor Constantine issued a civil decree making Sunday a day of rest from labor. This formalized the existing religious practice and connected the Christian Lord's Day with the ancient Jewish concept of the Sabbath. Now, this is where AI is actually just grabbing information from all over the internet. There's nothing in the Bible that talks about keeping Sunday. The Lord's Day, as it mentioned, is only mentioned once in all of the Bible. And when you read Revelation, it's where John says, I was in the Spirit on the Lord's Day. Now, if you read the rest of the Bible and you try to figure out, well, what day is the Lord's Day? It's going to say, for the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. I am the Lord of the Sabbath. So if the Lord has a day, it's the Sabbath day that he blessed and hallowed at creation. So this Emperor Constantine, what happened was when he was killing Christians, the martyrs' blood were causing more Christians to appear. So for every one Christian that was killed, 10 more Christians popped up. And Constantine said, well, if you can't beat them, join them. So he said, I'll control their system of worship. I can't kill this thing. I'm going to control it. I'm going to say, yes, you Christians can worship, because I've actually had a Christian conversion myself. And he tells this story of seeing a red cross in the sky, and he starts painting red crosses on his soldiers' shields. And whether that was a true scenario or not, Satan has the power to give you visions when you are a pagan like Constantine. And now he was being used by the enemy to change and control Christian worship away from, thus saith the Lord, the fourth commandment, and you will keep Sunday holy. Because that's what Constantine did. He actually made it a law. Constantine Sunday law. He made it a law to keep Sunday, the venerable day of the sun, a mandatory public day of rest for city dwellers and craftsmen in the Roman Empire. And he also said the decree did not ban the Sabbath, but promoted the civil observance of Sunday. Now, that's not true either. It actually said that those who are caught Judaizing would be killed. You guys have to research this yourself, guys. Man, please research everything that we're talking about on this channel. Everything that we talk about here is because we're on a journey for truth, the candid truth, and we want to grow with you guys. We want you guys to research this stuff. So check out Constantine Sunday laws. The Sabbath day was banned because they were called Judaizers. So here's a question right here. Was The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It, shot at Trilith Studios? Yes. Notice it wasn't in that list of movies on their official website. I wonder why. The Conjuring is super satanic. It says, yes, The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, was shot at Trilith Studios. Now, if you think, AI can actually give wrong answers. This is the movie, by the way, with the inverted cross. The whole thing has to do with demonic possession and actually fighting demonic possession through Catholicism. It's basically the movie The Exorcist repackaged, and it has a bunch of movies. But if you think AI is giving false information, check this out. Trilith Studios, Instagram. We're counting down the days till Halloween. They're excited about Halloween, the most satanic holiday that is observed by America. If you need us, we'll be telling ghost stories in one of our favorite set pieces, gifted by production, a gazebo from The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. They're admitting right there that this Christian-owned production company was gifted this gazebo by The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, because they filmed the movie there. I remember years ago that Jim Henson actually cut ties with Chick-Fil-A for their stance on homosexuality. Because as Christians, Chick-fil-A, they shut down on Sunday and they took a strong stance against gay marriage. And I remember they used to have, they were selling little Jim Henson Muppet toys. Well, they had to recall all the toys, and their public announcement was that it was for a factory defect or something. But in reality, the Jim Henson Company cuts ties with Chick-fil-A in July 2012, after Chick-Fil-A, a president, Dan Cathy, voiced opposition to gay marriage, which conflicted with Jim Henson's company's commitment to diversity and inclusiveness. So right here we see that they were against homosexuality. It made the news. Look, Muppet Company severs ties with Chick-fil-A over gay marriage. ABC News, Jim Henson Company splits with Chick-fil-A over gay rights. So this was a big deal. And now Chick-fil-A has a company represented by a Baal altar who makes movies like The Conjuring and many others. Because I asked, I've never seen these movies. I just picked a couple that I thought maybe. And I said, is there any LGBTQ representation in the television program I Can See Your Voice? That was one of them listed on Trilith's page. Yes, the reality competition show I Can See Your Voice has featured LGBTQ plus contestants. The show's format requires guest stars and blah, 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 blah. So yes, now Trilith Studios, now Chick-fil-A is no longer opposing gay marriage, but promoting it through propaganda that they are producing with their logo that represents a pagan altar. Like, I can't emphasize that enough. I'm just still mind blown that that is the logo they chose to represent their company, these God-fearing Christians who say they're Baptists and all this stuff. Is there any LGBTQ representation in Guardians of the Galaxy movie? Yes. The post-credits scenes of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 introduces the lesbian character, Phyla-Vell. While the film itself does not feature significant LGBTQ storylines, the addition of Phyla-Vell adds queer representation to the MCU. And that gets a big applaud from the GLADD, who are always making sure there must be LGBTQ representation in everything. That's actually what they say, in everything, even children's books. There's another movie a show called Miss Marvel. Is there any LGBTQ representation in the series Miss Marvel? Yes. Miss Marvel includes LGBTQ plus representation through the character of Zoe Zimmer, who is a lesbian classmate of Kamala Khan. So look, what we're showing you here is that you cannot just trust every person that comes under the guise of, oh, I'm a Christian. We own a Christian company. We close on Sunday. Can't you tell we're very Christian? You must be a fruit inspector. Jesus didn't say, you will know them because they go to church on Sunday, they carry a Bible under their arm, and they wear a cross. He said, you will know them by their fruit. That's so important because Satan will have people that will disguise themselves as Christians. They will infiltrate the church. They will corrupt it. They will shape it. And it will be a completely different church than what the apostles started. I think it already is. I think we're already there. I don't trust any denomination anymore. I think all of them have been infiltrated. And you can look, the majority of churches are observing the venerable day of the sun. And they are in opposition to the Sabbath. Don't you dare put me under that legalistic law of spending time with God on the day he made holy. It's a complete contradiction. You can't call a day of rest works. And yet that's what people will say. And they're under these 501c3 tax exempt forms. Like when you look into that stuff, the government actually has some say in what you say behind the pulpit. There are churches who are required to turn in their transcripts, which now you don't have to do that because everybody live streams and AI is actually transcribing every word you say. And I'm sure everything's just being red flagged and sent to whoever it needs to be sent to. It can label you for hate speech. Look up Southern Poverty Law Center. Look at the hate maps, Southern Poverty Law Center. If you look at the hate maps, you will find that they include people in here like churches and religious groups, calling them hate groups. So this is where we're at when the government can say, hey, you're not allowed to read from that part of the Bible because it actually condemns this minority group over here, and that's hate speech. What I think is interesting is that as a white male, I'm told that I have white privilege, and yet I don't really see any privileges protecting my belief system or anything like that when my belief system and my God is mocked, blasphemed, ridiculed over and over and over in Hollywood. And yet, if anyone were to say anything remotely demeaning towards this minority group over here, that's hate speech. You could be fined. You could go to jail. If you don't make a cake for this person, we're going to shut your place down. And yet, those same minorities could probably say, we're not going to make a cake for your baptism. Are you kidding me? Your belief system disagrees with mine, and therefore we refuse to make your cake. This is interesting times we live in. So looking at all this stuff makes me think of 1 Timothy 6:10. For the love of money is the root of all evil. Chick-Fil-A, a company that used to stand up against the LGBTQ movement, who closes on Sunday, who claims to be this Christian organization, and now they have sold out with a company represented by a Baal altar and producing propaganda that promotes witchcraft, sorcery, antichrist messages, and homosexual representation. The love of money is the root of all evil. Mark 8:36 says, for what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? You cannot put a price on eternal life. You can't buy another day of life. You can't buy another breath given by the life giver himself. You cannot take money or any physical possession to heaven with you. It's all going to burn and rust. That's why the Bible says, store up your treasures in heaven, not on earth, because we can't take any of this with us. The whole mission for us on this earth is to spread the gospel, to spread life, to spread the light. You know what they said? Chick-fil-A said that their whole mission statement was to glorify God and to be a good influence in the world. Where is it? Where's the good influence? I think these people have been corrupted by the love of money. Matthew 7:22 says, many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name? And in thy name have cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works? These are people who are Christians, claim to be Christians. And then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity or lawlessness. Anyone who says, I believe in Jesus, but doesn't obey him is lawless, and they will be spewed from his mouth. That's the next verse here. Revelation 3:16. So then, because thou art lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will spew or vomit thee out of my mouth. It's going to be a scary day when the Lord returns and people are not living right. Christians who proclaim to be followers of him are not doing what he would do. What would Jesus do? Would Jesus produce this trash? No, he would not. 100% he would not. 2 Corinthians 11:3 says, for such are false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into apostles of Christ. This is saying that there will be people on earth that are appearing to be apostles of Christ. And I think this is interesting with this apostle that just got arrested over this $50 million scandal. There will be false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into apostles of Christ. What about Satan himself? And no marvel, interesting, marvel. And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. I hope this was eye-opening for you guys. If it was, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps get this video out into their algorithm. There are a whole lot of people that need to hear this message because there are so many wolves in sheep's clothing out there, and we're seeing it come out one by one. If you're new to this channel, please hit subscribe. Click that bell notification so you will not miss a single episode that comes out. If you want to support this ministry, you can do so by going to CandidTruthOrg. We have a lot of different ways to give on there. You can become a Patreon donor as well, or you can find our address to send in a check or a money order on CandidTruth.org. Also, if you guys like t-shirts, we got a lot of cool t-shirts for you guys with Bible verses and cool slogans like "Be cool, use your brain," because we say it's cool to use your brain. Satan's trying to make people dumb because dumb people are docile and easy to control, easy to brainwash, and we're all about breaking that system. We love you guys. We thank you guys. We cannot do this without you. We'll see you next time on Candid Truth.